The story I'm about to tell you begins at rock bottom. You know, that time in your life when you've been beaten so badly that every day feels like a chore? Yeah, that time. This is not a video about how things will get better if you work at it, or a video where I sit here and tell you inspirational quotes like, "You have nowhere else to go but up." This is a video about something else. And much like all of my other videos, it begins with a magic trick. This one was called MP3. Warning, some of this stuff was shot way before I even knew what microphones were. This was one of my greatest inventions.
I just want you to open your music app and just only music.
I'd borrow somebody's phone, have them think of just one song from their entire music library, and without looking at their screen, I knew exactly what song they were thinking of.
That is just, there is something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you.
Unfortunately, because of an old movie, I lost all the footage of 17-year-old me performing this and explaining it to you. But I'll still show you how it was done, because it's important to the story. The secret to this trick was in the iPhone. Before iOS 7, the music app on iPhones looked, well, a little better than this. Fortunately for me, it had a feature that nobody knew existed. I realized that if I turned the phone sideways, after a quick animation, I would see a completely different screen. And then once I'd move it back, I'm back to the screen everything began on. So I took advantage of this. Before people knew what was going to happen, I would place the song I want them to think of right on the top of the list. I mean, I wanted to make them believe that they were in control the whole time, so I secretly would turn the phone to its side. That's me checking to see if the animation was complete. Then I'd ask them to swipe while the phone was facing the ground. Once they were done, I bought some time so the animation could happen again, and then I'd ask them to memorize the name of the song I already said before they even started swiping. And then after that, it was just a matter of an Oscar-worthy performance until... This trick served me so well for so many years that I decided to take it to a magic shop with a proposal to sell it to other magicians. Because, you know, I was young, naive, and I wanted to get my name out there. Enter Genii magazine.
Hi, Anadai. This is a great idea. It's not something that we could release through Beep, but it's definitely something I could include in my Genii column.
Now, what in the hell is a Genii column?
What is a Genii column?
This is Jim Steinmeier. He's currently the interim editor of Genii magazine.
So there's a tradition, of course, of just like anything, there's magic literature that is how magicians communicate with each other, how they promote new ideas, also how they sell products, how they promote their shows. In the new iteration of Genii magazine, which is a magazine that's been going for about 90 years now, since 1936 in America, and it's the longest running independent magazine, magic magazine for magicians. So a Genii columnist, you know, I would say to you that 20 years ago, I could have said that pretty easily. You know, you're going to be writing about tricks. And now I think that that's become a little broader in terms of what we ask columnists to think about.
That, if I'm being completely honest with you, that was a joke question, because I was hoping you're going to say something like, it's a column in Genii magazine.
I wanted to talk to Steinmeier because not only has he written almost every single magic history book in existence, but also because he would provide some incredible insight on what this opportunity really meant for 16-year-old me.
What do magicians think of when they hear the words published in Genii?
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, I hope what they think of is that's a kind of badge of honor. Instantly, people think of the people like Charlie Miller and Di Vernon, Larry Jennings, and, you know, the writers that were really influential in magic movements at that time. I don't know that there's a guarantee of it. It's that thing of being a voice in someone's ear, you know, is that it's finding an audience.
So of course I said yes. I'd be a complete idiot if I'd said no. But think about that for a second. I was in a country where you couldn't even buy a magic book, and suddenly I'm being published in one of the biggest trade magazines in my field. At 16. But of course, fate had different plans for me.
Good morning!
And by fate, I mean my old arch nemesis, Tim Cook.
Thank you very much. Today we're announcing iOS 8.
Because he and his cronies at Apple
Music here on iTunes Radio.
ruined my trick.
We could not be happier.
You know that whole thing about turning the phone on its side and having people swipe? You know, the whole reason my trick even worked in the first place? The new iOS update completely removed this insignificant feature, but it was significant for me. So in the span of just a few days, my trick went from being the greatest thing I've ever created, you know, the thing that would blast my career into the stratosphere, into something that I could not even do anymore. And none of it was in my control.
Ah, that's a real shame. I won't be able to publish it then, because by the time it appears in Genii, we would have moved on to iOS 9. Very sorry.
Now this is when my descent into rock bottom actually begins. But first, a quick tangent. The insanity of magic geopolitics. The early 1900s was home to two global tragedies, the World Wars. In both black marks of humanity, the Allies were considered victorious, shifting the balance of global culture to the Western Hemisphere, giving us the glitz and glamour of Hollywood and the special effects of Doctor Who. Meanwhile, in the burgeoning world of magic and illusion, Houdini caused a sensation in the Western world, moving magic into the mass market. Thus, a new need for understanding the history of our craft was born. But, succumbed by Western superiority, as America moved into the 1950s, the magic world set its center away from the exotic East. Basically, if you want to be somebody in magic, you either go to the UK or you go to America.
Because, you know, magic was America. Magic was this group of American magicians.
Look, man, I don't make the rules. This is just the world that I inherited. So I chose America. To quote Shakespeare, and there begins my sadness. Now, I really don't want to talk about this time in detail because I'm going to explore it in my special. At 1,000 subscribers! But look at this. This is an Indian passport. Calling a place home after you've left is a little bit difficult on an Indian passport. Look, all you have to know in order for the story to make sense is this. A visa is like a ticking time bomb. You know it's going to go off. But don't worry about that for now, because we are about to meet a living legend in the world of magic.
This feels like an important moment, but I don't want to run around to find my camera, so this is it. I'm about to write an email to Jim Steinmeier. I'm writing to Jim Steinmeier about, hey, can we rename the Golden Age to the Industrial Age?
When I first reached out to you over email, when you had no idea what I was doing, or I even existed.
God damn it, I'm so f***ing stupid. I asked Jim Steinmeier if I can rename a f***ing era of time.
Send.
It's just that simple.
Am I f***ing stupid? Jesus Christ!
What did you think of me then?
Well, I thought,
Holy shit, I literally just asked Jim Steinmeier if we can f***ing rename the Golden Age to the Industrial Age. If we can rename the shit that he's been writing about. And yes, I am on the toilet. Deal with it.
well, I thought that was super interesting because I don't think I expect anyone to say that, and I certainly don't expect anyone under 40 to say that. And it made me laugh.
But just when things were looking good for me, you remember that ticking time bomb? Yeah. It exploded. Hard. Again, I'm leaving a lot out because I want to save it for the special, but you gotta understand, this was a huge blow to me. The local art scene is so far behind that nobody was able to understand my most accessible piece of work. And then there's the personal stuff. Nobody even tries to fucking relate to me. Either people try to console me, like, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine, you'll be okay, don't worry about that. Or they'll try to fucking insult me in front of people I care about under the guise of advice. The worst part is, people like that often hear the words that I'm a magician and they tell me to fucking quit. They tell me to quit. Are you serious? Fuck off. I've been back in Dubai for like 6 months now, and nothing's working. I have no audience, no stage, no theater, nothing. So yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that I've hit rock bottom. There is. I don't think I've ever felt worse in my life. And I don't think I've ever been in like a more hopeless situation in my life before this. So where you sit right now, it's really easy to think that, well, almost the last decade of the work that I put in, those actions have amounted to nothing. I don't have a name, I'm exactly where I started, and I've not been published in Genii. But only one of those things is a lie.
How did you feel when you were approached with the opportunity to be the executive editor of Genii?
That was super scary.
See, Richard Kaufman was the editor of Genii, and he had to pass the reins down to somebody.
So Richard asked me personally. Richard called me and he said, I'm going to suggest something to you, and don't get angry. But
And then Steinmeier, who had seen my videos, approached me.
I thought what you were doing was like super interesting and like super iconoclastic, but we don't get that a lot in magic.
And then the February 2025 issue ended up in my inbox.
Under columnists and reviewers, there's Alba, Lindsay Benner, Michael Claxton, Sarah Krasson, Andrew Frost, John Goggin, and who is this? Who is this? Ananya George? Who is that?
Printed in the USA, published by Genii Enterprises LLC. I made it. Okay, so this is the actual question that I kind of want to end the entire movie on while I cut back and forth between my reaction to looking at my name under like the columnists page in the February issue. Why me? Now let me tell you this. I don't have a following yet. My face or name isn't recognizable, and you've never seen me perform.
That's right.
Yeah, and so when this came up, what made you go, yeah, this guy? He would make a great addition to this like long-standing tradition in magic.
You know, I wasn't sure at that moment, that what I was actually thinking was the words, you know, long-standing tradition, Ananya, George, all tied together.
Yeah, they don't work together, do they?
They're tough together. But I would say here's what I would say. I knew you had the potential of tying things together in a way that is not of my age. That's my gamble, is that I really think that like there probably, if you search the world, you might find one other person that is thinking about this stuff in the combination you are, maybe. I don't know who that is. But right now there's one. So yeah, that, you know, hopefully you'll have an imitator someday.
Fuck, I really don't know what to say.
Hi, really quick interjection. If you like this video, please make sure to check out the Patreon. There's like different tiers there for different levels of involvement, and any amount of contribution will definitely help me keep running this channel. But thank you for now. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye-bye.